Page number 133. You don't have to tell me what I see or don't see, understand? None of your business. If ever you see a real tiger with a tail at the right end, call me, otherwise it is a waste of time. With that, Alphonse was off. We passed through many villages, big and small, towards I don't know where, as I followed my master. Everywhere people made way for us, retreated hurriedly, staring in wonder and disbelief, afraid even to breathe.
Crowds which would normally be noisy and jostle looked intimidated by the spectacle, which made my master remark, "What our country needs most is a tiger for every village and town to keep people disciplined." In some places someone would call out from afar, "Tiger man, put a collar and chain around your pet, we are terrified." "Come and do it yourself," my master said. "I will have no objection and I can tell this tiger to remain still while you collar it."
We passed on while I stuck close to his heels and moved along without lifting my head or looking at anyone too long. My master told me, the eye is the starting point of all evil and mischief. The eye can travel far and pick out objects indiscriminately. Mind follows the eye, and rest of the body is conditioned by the mind. Thus starts a chain of activity which may lead to trouble and complication, or waste of time, if nothing else, and so don't look at anything except the path. Sometimes I could not resist looking at cattle or other creatures, which I would normally view as my rightful prize. But I'd immediately avert my eyes when I realized what I was doing.
We were about to descend the slope of a hillock when we noticed in the valley below a procession passing. People were dragging a flower-decorated chariot with pipes and drums. The chariot carried the image of God, and there was much rejoicing and dancing and singing, and scattering of flowers. Vendors of fruits or sweets were, page number 134,
doing a brisk business with the children swarming around. But the moment we were seen, everyone ran for safety. God's chariot was abandoned in the middle of the road. The drummers and pipers abruptly stopped their music and, clutching their instruments, ran madly. My master said to me, "Stay here, and don't move even if people come near or touch you." He left me there and ran forward and said to those on the run, Come back, don't abandon your God. Draw the chariot along. Come on, come on. My tiger is godly, and loves a procession." He went after the piper and the drummer, and brought them back forcibly, saying, "That tiger of ours is musically inclined, and won't like to be cheated out of it. Go on, play your pipes. This tiger is no real tiger at all. He just looks like one, that's all. He loves you all.
Go on." With their gaze fixed in my direction they played nervously. The chariot wheels moved again and the crowd followed, although in a subdued spirit. The children did not laugh or dance, the sweet sellers did not cry their wares. "This pains me very much. How can I prove you are a friend?" said my master, falling back. We took a detour and went forward.
At another place we went into a rioting mob. Groups of people were engaged in a bloody strife, attacking each other with stone, knife, and iron rod, and screaming murderous challenges. In their frenzy they had not noticed us, but when they did, they dispersed swiftly. My master cried to them, "If I find you fighting again, I'll be back to stop it. Take care. You should not need a tiger to keep the peace." When we reached the foot of Mempi Range, he looked up with joy at a towering peak in front of us and said, "That ought to be our home, but it is inaccessible, so we will stop here."
I was here before, and once saw a flash of light on the very tip of that peak and felt overwhelmed by its mystery since no human being has ever set foot there. Although I realize now that it might be no more than a touch of the moon rising behind it, I will still. Page number 135. Watch for it. I have a great desire to see that flash again.
He searched and found his spot. A rock jutting over a ledge seemed to him adequate shelter. He said, "Here we will stay." He broke some twigs and swept the floor. Farther off there was a spring bubbling up from a cavity in the rock. "You can have a drink of water here, but I cannot tell you where you should seek your food. I don't know and I do not wish to think of it, as I cannot give you any help. I know I cannot persuade you to eat grass or live on roots and greens. God has decided for you a difficult diet. I can help your mind and soul, but I cannot affect your body or its functions. Now I should leave you free to go where you like, but don't go too far away from here or too long.
I accepted his advice. All day long I lay across the entrance of his shelter. It was enough for me that I was near him, while he sat with his eyes shut in prayer. I cannot say how long he would sit thus. In the evenings he would open his eyes, and then talk to me on life and existence and death, and help my understanding. More than once he mentioned God. The word, God, had been unheard of by me. We who live in the jungle have never known the word. He explained God. Most of it was beyond my understanding, but he said, you may not understand the word. But let it sink in your mind and ring on your ears, and then tell me later how you feel.
He described God in his own terms as the Creator, the Great Spirit pervading every creature, every rock and tree and the sky and the stars, a source of power and strength. Later, when my master questioned me about it, I said that God must be an enormous tiger, spanning the earth and the sky, with a tail capable of encircling the globe, claws that could hook on the clouds, and teeth that could grind the mountain, and possessing, of course, immeasurable strength to match.
On hearing my notion of God, my master burst into a laugh and said, it's often said that God made man in his own image. It's also true that man makes God in his own image. Both may be right, and you are perfectly right in thinking of your. Page number 136. God as a super tiger. Also, it may be true. What we must not forget is that he may be everything we imagine and more. In Bhagavad Gita he reveals himself in a mighty terrifying form which pervades the whole universe in every form of life and action. Remember also he is within every one of us and we derive our strength from him.
He did not treat me as an animal which sat before him in respectful silence trying to understand his words. I only felt grateful that he was trying to transform me in so many ways. How he could do it was his own secret. At dawn, it was his habit to go to the spring and bathe, wash his single piece of cloth, and wear it, allowing it to dry on his body. He would then pray and meditate, and break off to go into the forest and return with an armful of roots, herbs, and leaves which provided him nourishment. Except those moments when he discoursed to me, he remained silent and often went into deep meditation.
Nowadays the keenness of my hunger was also gone, and I slipped away into the jungle, not too often, only when I felt I could not stand hunger anymore. When I returned from my hunt, I kept myself away until he summoned me. I would be oppressed with a sense of guilt in spite of the fact that when I hunted and killed, I was lost in the thrill of the moment and relished the taste of warm flesh and blood, a luxury I had missed at the circus, where stale meat was thrown out of buckets at feeding time, by butchers on contract. It might be any meat, no way of knowing, might be a dog's or a donkey's, dull tasting since the contractor soaked the meat in water to give it weight.
So all along I could not help craving for fresh kill. But nowadays, the moment I had eaten my fill I'd be seized with remorse. And so, when I returned from the jungle I'd lie low, out of sight of my master. Even for drinking water, I chose another stream within the forest carrot since I did not want to sully the spring in which my master performed his morning ablutions. Nor would my master shame me by referring to my night expeditions. I tried to attain some kind of. Page number 137.
Purification by reducing the frequency of seeking food. Nor did I kill recklessly as I used to in my jungle days. Any game of any size or bulk, I used to slaughter, consume it partly, and return to the fly-covered remnant again the next day. I could not bear to recollect this habit, it nauseated. Nowadays, I went into the jungle and stalked the littlest game, just sufficient enough to satisfy my hunger of the moment and not my gluttony. And then I didn't go into the forest again for several days, prolonging the intervals as much as possible. I suffered hunger for consecutive days before seeking food again, but felt nobler for it. I felt I had attained merit through penance, making myself worthy of my master's grace. How I wished I had learned the art of living on sugar cane and rice, like the elephant and the hippo of the circus. The chimp would explain how they ate nothing else, which lesson I should have taken from them. How mighty the hippo and the elephant looked, although they ate no meat.
At night I quietly returned to a spot beyond a screen of vegetation not far from my master, ready to reach his side in a few bounds if summoned. This phase of life I found elevating. The change churning internally was still felt by me, but did not bother me now as it did at the beginning. I was getting accustomed to many changes. If I could have shed the frightening physical encasement God has chosen for me, I could have lived on air, or dry leaves, and I'd have felt more blessed. Understanding the turmoil in me, my master said, "Do not crave for the unattainable. It's enough you have realization. All in good time. We cannot understand God's intentions. All growth takes place in its own time. If you brood on your improvements rather than your shortcomings, you will be happier."
While I learnt a great deal from my master, enough to know myself, understand the world in which I lived, feel and express my thoughts, although understood only by my master, one thing he would not teach me was the art of reckoning. Numbers and figures. Page number 138. Was still beyond my grasp. To my questioning, he said, "Why do you want to know how long ago or before or how much later or earlier? Not necessary for you.
A sense of time may be required for human beings engaged in worldly activities. But why for you and me? I shun all activities and you have none. You have freed yourself from all duties which had been forced on you. And so you need not know what time of the day or what time of the week, or numbers, reckoning of before and after, when and how far. In short, you don't have to know the business of counting, which habit has made us human beings miserable in many ways. We have lost the faculty of appreciating the present living moment. We are always looking forward or backward and waiting for one or sighing for the other, and lose the pleasure of awareness of the moment in which we actually exist.
Time is not for you or for that matter me, although at some stage of my life. Here was some hint of his past life and I pricked up my ears. He understood that I wished to know more about him. Why do you want to know what I was or how or where? It'd be unnecessary knowledge. Knowledge, like food, must be taken within limits. You must know only as much as you need, and not more. All the thousands of human beings you have encountered since leaving the shelter of your forest life suffer from minds overburdened with knowledge, facts, and information, fetters and shackles for the rising soul.
I was a man of the world, busy and active and living by the clock, scrutinizing my bank book, greeting and smiling at all and sundry because I was anxious to be treated as a respectable man in society. One day it seemed all wrong, a senseless repetition of activities, where one's head always throbbed with the next plan, counting time or money or prospects, and I abruptly shed everything including, but for a bare minimum, clothes, and fled away from wife, children, home, possessions, all of which seemed intolerable. At midnight, I softly drew the bolt of our back door, opening on the sands of Sarayu behind our house at Alaman Street, while others slept and left very much in the manner of Siddhartha.
Page number 139. They searched but gave up eventually, concluding that I was washed off in the Sarayu, which was in flood at that time. I trudged and tramped and wandered through jungles and mountains and valleys, not caring where I went. I achieved complete anonymity, and shed purpose of every kind, never having to ask what next. And so here I am, that's all you need to know.
Although my master had taken the trouble to choose a remote part of the jungle to live in, people seemed to have got scent of us, of the novelty of our life, a man living in the company of a tiger, and began to visit us. The news must have spread from village to village. One morning, watching from his ashram, a sort of table at an elevation, which could give one a view of the surrounding country, we saw a file of peasants approaching at a distance. My master remarked, "No escape from humanity. They'll pursue you even if you hide yourself in the bowels of the earth.
Anyway, you keep yourself out of view so that they may approach without fear." I had been lying on the ground while he sat on the slab of stone. I got up in obedience to his command and moved off to my cave behind the screen of creepers and lantana shrubs. Presently I noticed from my spot some men arrive, carrying baskets of flowers and fruits. They stood away at a distance and hallooed, "Swamiji, are you there?"
"Yes, I'm here, but I am no Swamiji. May we approach you?" "Why not? Anyone is welcome."
"But you have the tiger with you still?" "Yes, naturally, but he is not a tiger. He looks like one, we are afraid."
"Then why do you want to come?" "For your darshan, sir." This kind of talk went on for a while. "Don't use the word darshan," he shouted back.
Page number 140. "Why not, master?" "Because the word is not appropriate."
"What does darshan actually mean, sir? We do not wish to offend you. Why don't you come up and ask, so that I may not have to shout through my answer?" "Of course, sir, we are naturally here to sit at your feet." Single quote.
Master uttered an exclamation of impatience. Oh, at my feet? Where have you picked up these phrases of mental slavery? Come up if you are not afraid. What makes you think you are safe there if it's the tiger that frightens you? He can easily come there too, nothing to hold him back. Have you not tied him up, sir? Certainly not, I live freely too, so there is no place in my system for any rope or chain or bond of any kind. If you don't muster enough courage and confidence, turn back and go.
We have come a long way, sir, for your dar, they were about to say. Darshan, again, but restrained themselves. I leave you to your discretion. Go back if you like.
But they hesitated uncertainly, and consulted among themselves. Having taken the trouble to come so far, they didn't want to waste the visit, and perhaps feeling that they might encounter the tiger in any case even while retreating, in a short while they came up and placed their offerings before my master. When he noticed their preparations to prostrate before him, he said emphatically, I won't allow you to prostrate. They would not listen to his objection. In spite of it, they threw themselves full length on the ground and tried to touch his feet. He shrank back from them and threw himself on the ground as a countermeasure and tried to take the dust off their feet.
They scrambled up in great confusion. Oh, Swamiji, you could not do it. We are small men, but you are great. How? Because I am unshaven and shirtless? I don't shave because I find it easier not to. I don't wear a shirt because I don't have one.
Page number 141. But for these, I go about with the tiger because it's God's will. I am not different from you, we are equals and no need to pay homage to me. It has no meaning. You must prostrate only before God. You should seek only God's darshan, we must not misappropriate the word that belongs to Him, in a temple. Even that I doubt, since the same God resides within all of us.
When you address a prayer to God, you are only praying to yourself, or at least you are entitled to half that prayer, and if you are offering a flower, again half is yours, as a famous mystic poet sung. At this point he suddenly lifted his head and delivered a full-throated song, his voice rebounding from the rocks. When I bring my palms together and raise my arm in prayer, I'm only half praying to you. Is it right to pray thus? His visitors were overwhelmed, but suddenly remembered the tiger and asked timidly, Where is the tiger?
Don't think of him. Sit down with an easy mind and tell me your purpose. Why do you spoil your mind with thoughts of the tiger? Having come all this distance. They placed the basket of flowers and fruits before him and appealed. Please accept these.
He took just a single flower and a small banana. Yes, these will do. Take them back to the children in your village, and the flowers to the womenfolk. They sat down again on the ground in front of my master and began to explain. We are from both the sides you found fighting the other day. We have come to assure you that we will not fight again. When your honor passed through our village that day, you saw us in a shameful state. We are here to beg your forgiveness. Ask God's forgiveness rather than mine.
The cause of our fight that day. Don't tell me what. All causes of rivalry and clash are senseless and so need no defining or explanation. Don't ever fight. No cause is worth a clash. Page number 142.
We pledge never to fight again. Your gracious presence helped us the other day. That's good. You should not depend upon a tiger or a bearded man again to help you settle your differences. If you are ready to hate and want to destroy each other, you may find 100 reasons. A diversion of canal water in your field, 2 urchins of opposite camps slapping each other, rumors of molestation of some woman, even the right to worship in a temple, anything may spark off a fight if you are inclined to nurture hatred.
Only the foolish waste their lives in fighting. One morning I was lying at the feet of my master, he was sitting in meditation. Nowadays he encouraged me to remain close by when he meditated as it might help me too. At such moments a profound silence prevailed, and the sublime state to which he had raised his mind carried mine also along. At such moments I felt lighter at heart and my physical self also became secondary. My sight became clearer. If I lifted my gaze to the horizon, the sun shining on the land filled me with joy, the leaves of the mighty banyan trees sparkling like gems, the bamboos swaying their golden stems with their filigreed leaves. I felt I could ask for nothing more in life.
When he read the state of my mind, my master explained. No one would credit a tiger with so much poetic joy, it is inconceivable. Looking back, I would say that in one of your previous births you might have been a poet, and your deeper personality retains that vasana still. Whatever one had thought or felt is never lost, but is buried in one's personality and carried from birth to birth.
You must have been a poet, perhaps many centuries ago in the court of a king, your shoulder wrapped in a resplendent shawl, a diamond bracelet on your arm, seated beside the throne stirring royal hearts with songs of nightingale, moon, roses, or of an aching heart pining away for the lost love. Oh, Raja, I see a visitor coming up, of all things a woman, go, hide yourself before. Page number 143. She sees you, she may faint in my arms. I rose and went behind the screen of lantana bush and the rock.
Presently the visitor arrived, panting. I could see her through the foliage. I couldn't describe a human being. My master never taught me how to distinguish one from another. All humans look alike in my eyes, and my master has confirmed that it is the right view. I could, in a rough manner, identify some special personalities like Captain or the clowns or Rita by prolonged association, and especially by their functions. If I needed to know the looks of any person, I would know it only through my master's description.
When he understood my curiosity about this woman, he explained that she was over 50 years old, medium height, dark, round cheeks, with grey hair tied up at the back. The lady advanced towards my master, seated on his slab of stone, and prostrated. Madam, you should not prostrate before me, please get up. I never like anyone to touch my feet.
She got up, saying, one has the right to show one's veneration for a sublime soul, a saint perhaps. Please sit down, madam. I am unhappy that I can offer you only the bare ground to sit on, no carpet or mat. They're immaterial. The great thing is to be blessed with your darshan.
Calm yourself, rest for a while, you don't have to say anything. Feel completely free to remain silent. You don't have to utter a single word. The lady smiled. I've not come all the way to observe a vow of silence. Perhaps I may be under a vow not to hear a word.
Quite likely. Even then I will speak since I have come all the way. By all means. Go ahead. I have not shut off my ears yet. First let me ask what brought you here? Page number 144.
I heard of a remarkable person who went out with a tiger, as if he had taken a dog out, and I told myself I must see this Swamiji. It's only this remarkable man who can help me in my search. Don't you see what risk you face by going after a sadhu you have only heard about? He might be a fake. Yes, I fear that too, she said.
You might be endangering your virtue, too. At my age and condition, my virtue is quite safe. No one will be tempted to molest a grey-haired fat hag. Only they robbed me of the money I had, and also a chain and bangles. While crossing a lonely forest path, 3 men accosted me, and relieved me of my jewelry and a bundle of clothes, too, and went their way quietly. Good men, they only robbed, which seems to me less heinous than deserting one's family and home for no reason.
How can you say, no reason? An inner compulsion is enough to make one take fateful decisions. How I wished I could join their conversation. Not only could I not speak, but I had to keep my cursed form concealed behind the lantana bush in order not to scare the visitor. If permitted, I would have asked, how did you come to know about my master? As if in answer to my question, she was saying, on that day when a tiger was at school, I went there with a neighbor who was searching for her son.
The crowd was pressing and suffocating, pushing us about. Everybody was terrified, and yet wanted to get a glimpse of the tiger, with the result no one could ever go in. My companion broke down and wept helplessly. Some mischievous persons were enjoying the situation by suddenly crying out, "Run, run, the tiger has come, the tiger is coming," and kept the crowd running back and forth. I and my friend got separated in the melee. Later when we met, she told me how she was comforted and helped by a bare-bodied sadhu who was calmly sitting on a culvert outside the school gate. In what manner did the sadhu help her?
Page number 145. He told her that the tiger was locked in and would not harm anyone, and also that her son must be with the other children safely sheltered in the school hall. Was that sadhu you? Could be, or might be any other bare-bodied, bearded person. There must be hundreds of them everywhere.
But there was only one in that place and he was offering to lead away the tiger. Oh, did he? And something that she had noticed about him which she mentioned made me think.
What could it be? He was in the habit of rubbing his finger across his brow while thinking, as you are doing now. It was true, when my master was listening or thinking, he always drew his finger across his brow as if writing something there.
The mention of this mannerism seemed to disturb my master's equanimity, but only for a moment. He laughed and said, "This is my habit, surely I know it. I do it and 100 others may also be doing it, just to probe what's written there by fate, like a blind man's running his finger over an etching, and are we not all blind where our fates are concerned?" By the time I learnt about the Sadhu, he was gone with his tiger. I went back home and kept thinking. The picture came up before me as to how I had not seen anyone else do it. How when he sat in the veranda, reclining in his easy chair, reading a newspaper, he'd hold it in one hand so as to leave the other free to trace his forehead, or before going out to his office, if I asked for cash for some domestic shopping.
He would always say, "If I could conjure up the money," and while uttering the word, conjure, he'd send his fingers dancing across his forehead. Whether joking or serious, he always took his fingers to his forehead. I have also felt sometimes irritated by it and told him, "Oh, keep off your fingers from your head, it's very distracting." When our son had a problem in his college, you could. Page number 146.
Not listen to him without these fingers almost skinning your forehead. Did he help his son at all? The boy was in constant trouble with a particular master who was rather vindictive, but you went up to their principal and spoke to him, and from that day.
You are beginning, I now notice, to use the word you, which is not proper. Keep to he. Even now I notice your fingers going to your brow. Many people have that habit, you see, of all organs, it is the hand that's most active and independent. The hand acts by itself when you are not watchful, it can tease you by hiding the keys.
It's the hand that goes forward first to strangle a throat, fondle a lover, or bless or thieve. If God had devised the hand differently, the world and human actions and attitudes would have been different. She was listening with adoration. At this moment I sneezed, some insect having settled on my nostril. She asked in alarm, "What is that?" "Oh, some jungle noise, don't worry about it."
Oh, husband, how can you forget the years we have spent together? 20 years, 25, 30, I have lost count. Don't say, husband, it is a wrong word. Husband, 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 I'll repeat it 1,000 times and won't be stopped. I know to whom I'm talking. Don't deceive me or cheat me. Others may take you for a hermit, but I know you intimately.
I have borne your vagaries patiently for a lifetime, your inordinate demands of food and my perpetual anxiety to see you satisfied, and my total surrender night or day when passion seized you and you displayed the indifference of a savage, never caring for my health or inclination, and with your crude jocularities even before the children, I shudder. You should have felt happy to lose such a husband. Why have? Page number 147.
You gone after him? No reason, especially when he has left for you and your children a comfortable home, all the money he had, and every kind of security in life. If you think over it, you will realize that the surrender has been rather on his part. It was total. He took nothing for himself except a piece of loincloth for all the wealth he had accumulated. However, please know that he left home not out of wrath, there was no cause for it, but out of an inner transformation. You have a strange way of talking now.
He said with a touch of firmness, "Time for you to start back if you must reach the nearest village before nightfall. I'll take you down and from the village you can go on. I can't go without you, or let me stay with you. Impossible. What you see is my old shell, inside it's all changed. You can't share my life.
Come home with me, I'll accept you as you are, keep your beard and loincloth, only let me have my husband at home. Listen attentively, my past does not exist for me, nor a future. I live for the moment, and that awareness is enough for me. To attain this state, I have gone through much hardship. I don't have to explain all that now. I have erased from my mind my name and identity and all that it implies. It would be unthinkable to slide back. You must live your own life and leave me to live mine and end it my own way."
She broke down and wailed aloud. He calmly watched her. "I wish I could help you, as I managed to help Raja and calm his turbulent soul. I can only pray for your well-being. Let me stay in that village, so that I'll at least be near you." "Why should you? You can't. You have your own home and family.
Have you no feeling or even an ordinary sense of duty? I do not understand these phrases. I have forgotten the meaning of many words. Please do not force me to talk so much about. Page number 148.
Myself. Because of my sympathies and a real desire to help you, I have spoken. Otherwise, I never revive the identity of the past in thought or word. It's dead and buried. You are callous. You talk of sympathy just with the tip of your tongue. You have no real feeling. You are selfish. You are. She went on until sheer exhaustion overcame her.
He listened to her in stony silence. At some point he even failed to look at her, closed his eyes and went into meditation. He just said, I'll take you down to the village. Let's get there before sunset. Why should you take the trouble? You will have to pass through the jungle all alone.
I can go alone, as I came. Yes, we come into the world alone, and are alone while leaving. Your understanding is becoming deeper. She repeated, I didn't need your help while coming. Why should you bother about a stranger? You and your tiger. If he is there in the jungle and meets me, I shall be grateful if he ends my misery then and there, or couldn't you tell him?
You will reach home safely. She sprang to her feet. Finally, is there no way I can persuade you? I need no persuasion. God be with you.
She wiped her eyes with the end of her sari, turned round, hurried down the hill, and disappeared into the jungle. He sat motionless in his seat and closed his eyes in meditation. I did not wish to disturb him. I kept away until he should call me. I didn't go out to hunt that night, preferring to go without food. I didn't want to go prowling in the forest for fear that if that lady happened to be there and saw me, she might die of shock. My master never mentioned her visit again. He sat continuously in meditation for a few days, and then our normal life was resumed. He bathed in the pool, went into the forest to gather roots and
Page number 149. Leaves for his nourishment, meditated and discoursed to me in the evenings seated on his slab of stone. Thus life went on. As I have said, I have no reckoning of time. I could only measure it by my own condition. Gradually I realized that I was becoming less inclined to get up and move, preferring to spend long hours in my own corner hidden behind the shrub.
I preferred to go without food rather than undergo the strain of chasing game. I could not run fast enough to catch anything. Many creatures eluded me with ease. Most of my old associates, the langur, the jackal, and others who used to watch me and annoy, were missing, perhaps dead or not frequenting this particular part of the forest. My claws sometimes stuck and most of my teeth had fallen. It was difficult for me to tear or chew. My movements were becoming so slow and clumsy that I was often outwitted, and when I succeeded in cornering some animal, I could not kill it successfully. I took a long time to consume it. The result was that in due course, I was underfeeding myself and my skin fell in folds.
My hearing was also impaired. Nowadays I could not hear when my master summoned me. And his discourses were much reduced as he understood that I could not hear him properly. He told me, Raja, old age has come on you. Beautiful old age, when faculties are dimmed one by one, so that we may be restful, very much like extinguishing lights in a home, one by one, before one goes to sleep. Listen attentively. You may live a maximum of 5 years. I don't think we should risk your suffering starvation or attack from other creatures or hunters. Once they know you are old and weak, they will come for you and you are going to be alone because we are about to part. Last night I realized that the time for my attaining samadhi is near at hand. I must prepare for it by releasing myself from all bondage. As a first step, I am releasing you.
Tomorrow a man will come to take charge of you. He is the head of a zoo in the town. You will spend the rest of your years in the company of animals. You will be safe in a cage. Food will be brought to you. Page number 150. And they will open the door and let you out to move freely in an open-air enclosure, and look after you. Never having been in the habit of questioning my master, I accepted his plans, though with a heavy heart.
He explained his philosophy. No relationship, human or other, or association of any kind could last forever. Separation is the law of life right from the mother's womb. One has to accept it if one has to live in God's plans. Very soon we had a visitor from the town. It was noon. The visitor looked to me a kindly person, he held no whip in hand. He had a companion, and down below on the forest track there was a cage on wheels. My master and the visitor were engaged in a long talk. My master was saying, "Keep him well. Remember, he is only a tiger in appearance. He is a sensitive soul who understands life and its problems exactly as we do. Take him as a gift from God, only please don't put him in rough company."
He is magnificent, though he is not at his best now. After a few days of regular feeding at the zoo, he will get back the shine on his coat. We'll take care of that, the other said. Raja, come, commanded my master for the last time.
I came out of the shrubberies and covering. The visitor was rather startled at first and remarked, "Oh, truly the most magnificent of his kind, regal, of grand stature, although you think he is faded. We have our own system of feeding and improving with tonic and he'll be record-breaking. Our zoo can then claim to have the largest tiger for the whole country." My master assured him, he is quite safe.
At first sight, I could understand that this man was fearless and used to the company of animals, and had sympathy, and was not another captain. He asked my master, "May I touch him?" "Yes, certainly," said my master, and patted my back. The man came near and stroked my back, and by his touch I could see that I had a friend.
Page number 151. "May we go?" he asked. My master said to me, "Raja, will you come with me?" and I followed him. He opened the cage and said, "You may get in now, Raja, a new life opens for you. Men, women, and children, particularly children, hundreds of them will come to see you. You will make them happy."
The others got into the jeep to which the cage was yoked. Before we drove off, my master thrust his hand through the bars and whispered to me, "Both of us will shed our forms soon and perhaps we could meet again, who knows? So goodbye for the present."